Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this, my second channel, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with all the Flat Earth Debate pre-show and after-show goodness. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal and crypto link in the info box below the video. We are currently joined by Arwin, so I'll raise the mic on him, see if I can get his attention. Hey Arwin, can you hear me? Clearly not. I am running an hour late, so hopefully a few people will join before the show goes out in about half an hour. We shall see. Hello, Arwin.
Hello.
Hello. Good to have you.
Hi.
I actually got to watch the early bird today.
Huh?
Because I've started an hour late, I actually got to watch the early bird.
Yeah, I noticed you in chat. Yeah, if I'd known, I could have potentially gone on for another hour, but I didn't really notice, and I kind of need to do some errand run in between, so I may be a little bit late in the actual show here.
That's alright.
But yeah, it was a very active early bird show.
Yeah, talking about colloidal silver.
Among other. But yeah, that was a big part of it.
Just to let the chat know, there's people like Chocolate Sane and various others in there, so I'll let them know that the link's in Skype. This keyboard.
And is it as cold over at your place as it is here?
Say again.
Is it as cold over there as it is here?
Yeah, it's freezing. Very cold.
Did it snow too yesterday?
It did in Santa's Grotto.
Sorry?
It did in Santa's Grotto.
Well, it snowed here very hard, like in between 1 and 2 in the night.
Uh-huh.
Like started just a big cloud of snow just came drifting down. It was massive. I like had to keep my windows closed because the snow was just pouring in through the window.
Yeah, it gets a bit
my
muggy.
floor all wet.
In this weather, you can't, like you say, you can't open the windows. I try and keep them open just to keep it fresh, but you can't, and it just gets a bit stale over winter.
Yeah. I just put a towel beneath it because I can't sleep without fresh air. It's not gonna work out. But I had to put a towel beneath the window to catch all the snow and.
Getting shouted out from the chat. The show hasn't even started yet. Flat Fraz 68 says, "Yo, Arwin."
That phrase 68.
I thought it'd be a really busy start because I'm an hour late, but obviously everyone's lost interest rather than being on tender hooks to join. Chocolate saying normally on the panel, and he's just battling the trolls in the chat, battling with Nick.
Oh dear, Nick.
Nick's an avid fan of the show. Shout out to Nick.
I don't know what Nick is. I just know he's a terrible person.
Fan of the show.
Hooray.
Is he a daily?
Well, terrible people are also a part of the spectrum of humanity. So
As long as he's tuned into the show, I'm happy.
Of course.
Why did you time out Alan B?
Because he was being a dick. You know? Now he was getting all authoritarian and basically trying to hold in a bad light, like I was giving bad medical advice. And so I say, yes, screw you, Alan B. I will give that medical advice exactly as I do. I'm not a doctor and I can do this. I have no consequences for this. Hey, if you do it, you get hurt because of it, then sue me. Give a shit. Just do it, because it's never going to happen, because it actually does work the way I say it does. Test it. So I'm sorry if it doesn't fit in your little medical rule book of how you're supposed to, what you're supposed to accept, what you can say or not. Fuck you. I say what I think is real. That's what I do. That's what I use. That's what I advise. And I don't give a crap about allopathic medical rules. Don't give a crap.
I see. Fair enough, Arwen.
Yeah. Right.
I was tempted to cancel today's show.
What? Why?
Because I feel like crap.
Ah, you're sick.
Yeah.
Should have gotten that umbrella.
It's lack of colloidal silver.
Nah, but the real common cold thing, colloidal silver, doesn't really work against it, because it's more like a physical response to general conditions. I call the common cold, the typical common cold, is a metabolic overhaul.
Right.
So it's not even really a disease, actually. It's no real separate entity infecting you when that happens. It's mostly just a metabolic response, an overhaul to restore your metabolic bodily functions and to clean it up, like housekeeping.
Right.
But yeah, if you, for example, maybe in the phase where you may be getting a very sore throat, like it's just arriving, you're getting the first signs of the symptoms. If you take colloidal silver right then, but you have to be like right the first moment it starts to start, then you could actually use it to completely prevent that cycle. Just, it won't manifest. You won't get sick. You won't get a cold when that happens. But once the cold starts going, yeah, there's really nothing you can do to stop it. You can only stave the symptoms and just give your body extra nutrition to make the process go faster. But you can't really stop it once it gets going.
Yeah, Dan, I know it.
That's my experience.
I said, yeah, I know it.
Yeah. Man, I've been taking this cell force, and you can probably already hear the difference.
Were you here for the conversation between Karen and Apollo yesterday?
I think I was there, yeah.
She was essentially accusing him of chatting up some underage girl. On his
Yeah, I
Discord
heard
server.
that. That was really shocking.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, like underage girl, as in, was she 16? Because in the Netherlands, that's just perfectly legal.
Yeah, same here.
Or was he just being weird with like a 12-year-old or something?
Well, he's only young anyway, isn't he? I don't know how old he is, but he doesn't look very old.
He's 18, I think.
18?
Yeah. Yeah, he looks like he's 18. He sounds
But for the
like
sake of
he's
argument,
18.
if an 18-year-old, I know it's illegal, and I'm not condoning it, and I realise that you can still get prosecuted at 18, but if he was, for the sake of argument, chatting up a 15-year-old at 18, does it really matter?
Nope. To be fair, I did that when I was 18.
Exactly. Same here. I chatted up
Literally,
15-year-olds
and I
when was
waited
18.
until I was 19 and she was 16, and then we engage in legal sexual relations. Literally, I knew her a year before that. So
exactly. So long as you're not, you know, guilty of statutory rape, then there's no problem. You can chat to anybody, you know. But I don't know. I watch a lot of those shows where they go out catching paedophiles just because they're very amusing, seeing these dirty old men, you know, get basically put up against the wall by some angry guy who's been pretending to be a 13-year-old boy online for God knows how long, and all these pervy men come along and try and chat he or she up, the decoy they call it. So they'll go and say, well, you were intending to meet this 14-year-old girl for sex. And they go, no, I wasn't. And then they produce the chat logs. Here you go. Here's you actually asking. Here's her saying over and over again that she's 14 and doesn't understand what you're talking about. And they still deny. But yeah, those guys, they need locking up and their balls cutting off. Absolutely. But some 18-year-old kid that's basically a kid himself, you know, are you going to throw him in prison for chatting up some girl online? I don't think so. That said, Kara made it out like
in America they would actually.
Well, yeah, they would if you slept with her, because that would be statutory rape. But chatting her up online, I don't think there's anything really wrong with that, unless you're literally trying to entice them into meeting you for sex.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Unless he was doing that, I don't really see a massive issue, especially as he's basically a kid himself. Hey.
It's a complicated issue, but yeah, look, a lot of younger girls in this age, they will typically be like bragging with how sexual they are while they're not actually sexual.
Right.
Because that's the thing, you know, just like little girls, let's say 50 years ago, would typically act like their mothers and they're really adults and adult jewelry. That's because that was really the thing back then for little girls. And now, yeah, oh, everybody has to be slutty and blah, blah, blah. So they're going to be more inclined to actually act like that in a response. And yeah, there will be pervy men that will try to abuse that. It's a weird situation.
Serious student in the chat says, you're a great scientist. I have never done an experiment. Understanding the scientific method doesn't make me a scientist. You know. Not that he's listening, not that we're live, not that he can hear me, but...
They will in the after show. Or in the pre-show.
I'm not a scientist. I've never professed to be one. I just know that the claims made by Globeheads are scientific in nature, so understanding what they're claiming and how it doesn't actually conform to science, that's what I understand. It doesn't make me a scientist.
Well, you know, what even is a scientist? Is a scientist really a thing now, after everything we've revealed? Or is it just a stamp of a cultural significant thing? Is a scientist really a scientist, or is there no such thing as a scientist actually, when you think about it?
Morning, guys.
Morning. I'm gonna
go
when
we meet again, Arlen.
Yep. Welcome back. Take over from
Nathan.
me.
Hiya. Just gonna go on mute so I can blow my nose.
All good. You got another cold, Nathan? Got yourself another cold there, Nathan?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's...
Well, hope you feel better.
Again. I didn't hear you, Chocolate. Say again.
Yo.
No, I said I hope you feel better.
Thank you very much.
Not a problem.
My wife's gone out, which means there's no restraints on what I say. There's no one here. On the other hand, I feel really ill, so probably won't say much anyway. Are you battling Nick in the chat? Chocolate?
Yeah. He's been in the chat for, I don't know how long now. He was in the chat for the first premiere that you had for the other show that came on at, 6 o'clock my time? And it's now 9:43 and he's still in the chat. Like, these trolls are crazy. Like, I don't understand if this topic bothers you so much. Why spend so much time in it?
Yeah, some of them do actually dedicate more of their lives to this than I do, and I'm running a show.
I sometimes just really wonder with some of these faceless trolls if they really are actual people or they're just routines on the internet pretending to be people and they don't even realize it.
Like, they're definitely people. There's always somebody at the end of a keyboard typing.
How do you know?
The guy sounds like
how do you know it's not
person,
just a human simulator in the internet?
Because I don't think they've got to that level yet.
Oh, really?
Well,
why not?
I just don't. Well, maybe they have got to that level for $10 million in computing power, but I don't think Nick is a computer.
You get it, but once you get it, you can simplify it, you can cut it down. It doesn't have to function actually like a human. It just has to appear to function like a human to other humans and to itself. So they can trim down the ballast on computers. It's mostly just figuring out how to design it. And once they get that done with enough time, yeah, they can pump out thousands, millions of people, virtual people, as people on the internet doing things by their programming without even knowing they are not really people.
Or he's just a dude behind a keyboard trolling.
That's the alternative.
I think the latter's more likely.
Yeah, especially when they have no argument and it goes to talking about mothers.
Yeah, I saw that.
You know, it's like, what you got, man? Like, come on. What are you doing? It's pretty sad.
Yeah, I went on Haunted House's show this morning. I woke up and Haunted House was broadcasting. I thought, oh, I'll have a listen to this. It's wonderful. And he's talking to some bearded dude. And all he keeps saying is things like, if I presented evidence of the ball, you'd just deny it. It's like, what's this if? Actually present something.
Right.
If they presented evidence of the ball, we wouldn't deny it. We would simply deny it to be evidence.
If it was actually evidence of a ball, Arwin, I would immediately accept it. If it was actually evidence of a ball. Exactly. But so far, no one's presented any. So I'm not against people coming along and proving it's a ball. But what we prove is that they use logical fallacy to make people think it's a ball. And that's all we get presented.
Yeah, I don't get it.
That's because you're not presupposing it.
Yeah, you got to presuppose it to get it, man.
I mean, I'm done with that. So, like, I can't go back to presupposing. You know,
yeah, I get it. Don't get me wrong, I totally get it.
Years. Decades of presupposing and thinking I'm on something that there's no proof for. Nah, I can't go back to that.
No, me neither.
And that's what this guy said to me in the chat. He said, "Oh, you'll all end up like this guy Jamie Brown because he went back." I was like, "Well, good for Jamie Brown. Like, whatever he saw that convinced him, that's very good for him. I'm very happy for him. He can think whatever he wants. But what makes you think? And what I told him was, like, there are a lot more Zinders than Jamie Browns. Because Zinder was, came in complete baller, and now he's turning to, denying that he was on a ball. And it's like, I see a lot more of that than I see, flat earthers going back to the ball. So that's probably why they're panicking.
Flat earthers or a flat earther? I don't know, man. That many.
No, that's what I'm saying. There are many flat earthers do you know that are going back to the ball, as opposed to how many people are ballers who are waking up to flat earth.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's more people coming from the ball to flat earth than from flat earth back to the ball.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if people were dropping off flat earth like flies, then that would be, obviously that would be interesting and to see why that's happening. But if it's one or two people who they just happen to see something that changes their mind, well, I mean, that's good for them. Maybe they need the ball. Maybe whatever evidence they saw didn't convince them. So there you go. That doesn't hold that it's going to happen for everybody else.
Yeah, right on.
And then he says Zinder's just weak-minded. Well, no. Zinder's just opening. It's actually the complete opposite. It's opening his mind.
Zinder's not weak-minded. I've debated Zinder. He's far from weak-minded. That's
what I'm saying. But that's what they have to say to somebody who's, coming from the ball going towards flat, because they're weak-minded,
I understand. It's just an ad hom, basically. Oh, well, you must be stupid.
Yep. That's it. We're all liars. We're all following a cult.
God, Zinder, don't you know how to beg the question? Yeah, he was explaining.
You should know better than to step away from the presumptions.
Yeah.
That we all depend on.
That's what they sound like.
Yeah, I know.
That's what they sound like. You should know better. How dare you?
I don't know if he was. I don't know what the accent was, sort of Jamaican style accent, but he was basically saying you don't understand it because you're not willing to presuppose the ball.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's too funny.
But there's no explaining it to him. I think 7 times I spent explaining it to him. At this stage, I have no guilt kicking people out after 7 times explaining the same thing to them when they're absolutely wrong. It's not me coming up with some nonsense and then demanding they accept it like conspiracy cats. It's me actually giving a concise explanation to where their logical fallacy lies, and them ignoring it over and over again like I'm wrong. It's like, no, what's your rebuttal? I'm right. That was his rebuttal.
Wow. If he says so.
Yeah, exactly. If you just think you're right, go away. Believe it. Good for you, man. Just don't come here telling me I'm wrong. If you do, prove it.
Nah, it's like all these guys say when they come in here and say, "Oh, we're trying to help you guys out," because you guys obviously don't see why we live on a ball, so we're trying to help you out. It's like, no, we all thought we lived on a ball, and so we started looking for proof of it, and we can't find that. So you might want to get some of that, and they can't. So all they got is math and whiteboards.
And orthographic view demonstrations.
Yeah, that's it.
Constance Burns says, brilliant title. Did you see the title? I think that's a no. Show 668, the Beast's fax number.
Oh.
The Beast's fax number.
That's a good one. Nice.
Oh, man.
A little over 5 minutes and we're starting.
Cool. Hey Nathan, what was that? There was something that Riley was reading from yesterday. What was that?
Jose.
What is up?
It was
On
a
like
legal
on the
document.
after show? Like I was watching it this morning and he was reading something. What the hell was that?
He's got access to the legal library now, so when he saw a citation in a document talking about how children are basically brainwashed and how they were assessing the brainwashing of the children out in India, he went to the reference that basically... There was a sentence in a document that said, of course we understand, or of course we know that the Earth is a sphere, even though it appears flat. And then there was a citation. And the citation basically shows that the Indian children they were assessing were being brainwashed with the heliocentric model, then asked to pick from a series of pictorial models which one they thought was correct and explain why. One of them being the flat model, one of them being a sphere, one of them being like a donut, one of them being like a toroid, one being like a cone. And then they were just asked and assessed if they had anything new to offer that didn't sit within the parameters of the models that they told the children to basically pick from, having already told them how the Earth works as a sphere.
Wow.
But in that document, they're basically acknowledging the fact that some of the presuppositions are untenable.
Wow. So it's literal brainwashing and the documentation for this brainwashing.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Sleeping Warrior was good, brother.
The funny thing is, with the baller religion, the brainwashing is all inclusive, including themselves.
Yeah, they're told that they're told it's a model, and if you had the wherewithals to go and check out what that actually means, i.e. it's a reification fallacy to consider that you actually live in a version of the world that is that model, which we don't. But if they're being told that, you're told it's a model. So it's up to you to kind of figure out that you don't need to reify the model. It's just a model to describe something happening. And it might be a very good model. It doesn't mean you live on it. But that's basically what they've got. A model of things that work. And you can have a look at the model. It doesn't make it the world. The map is not the territory. That's a reification fallacy. But if you don't understand that and you haven't looked into it and you just accept that the world is the model that they tell you and teach you about, then that's really your own problem.
Wow.
What
So the entire point is to get kids to look at the picture of the globe and point to that and say, yes, that's where I live, even though everything in their brain tells them the world is flat and motionless, but they have to point at the ball. That's the entire goal. That's insanity.
Hey, Anthony.
Good morning.
Hey.
What
We
was
just talked about
the
it.
reason for starting late today? Had you overslept?
No, I went to see Santa.
What do you mean you went to see Santa?
What I say?
Nathan, there's no such thing as Santa.
Well, I saw him.
Well, you,
Hey,
you
there's
actually
more-
saw
there's-
real. So it was Santa. You saw Santa. Was
Yeah.
it a model or was it real world?
He was real. He had a real beard.
Come on, Nathan. Come on, Riley. You know.
Well,
Asked him for
Santa's real
Ferrari.
because he looks so fake.
He said, "What do you want
I
for
saw him
Christmas?"
yesterday also.
I don't think that you saw Santa, Nathan, because I saw Santa. Was it about 12 o'clock? Because I saw Santa in Manchester.
It was about 12 o'clock. Yeah.
See,
I
you
did
couldn't have
too.
saw Santa.
I did too about noon.
Yeah,
Yesterday.
No,
Yeah,
you're
can't-
taking the mic.
but can't Santa be everywhere at the same time? I mean, doesn't he
Santa
have
is
like
omnipotent.
superpowers like that?
No.
Well, maybe he is an extra.
There's only
dimensional-
one Santa, guys.
Maybe he's a fifth
How
dimensional
else
being.
would he get presents to kids on one night on
He's
every
got a
kid
sleigh,
in the
man.
world?
He's got a. Have you not seen the Christmas
Yeah.
Chronicles? That new kids TV
You
program.
know, I want to watch that. It actually
really,
looks
really
interesting.
good. I tell you what, it's the children's version of the ISS. Because if you didn't believe in Santa, right, and you were a child, you would end up believing in Santa by the end of it. That's how good it is. I believe in Santa. It's excellent.
It looks interesting, and I love Kurt Russell, so I would watch it just
Yeah,
'cause
Kurt
he's
Russell's a
playing
great
Santa.
I haven't watched that
But-
one, the new one.
Yeah, put it this way: if you were 50-50 with Santa, you'd absolutely believe. But what's really interesting is if you look at it from the context of the International Space Station, all of a sudden you can understand exactly how they can fake it. Because everyone knows that Santa's not real, right? But Nathan's just been to see Santa, and I've been to see Santa, and Jose's been to see Santa. So we've got a model there.
And in
haven't we,
that
almost?
movie, like disappearing and like doing all these tricks and shit. Like I only saw the trailer, but
We know when he's gonna come. We can predict when he's gonna come, what he's gonna do. You know what the children is gonna react.
we can
You know,
predict
it is a model. Yeah.
Maybe Santa just exists on the quantum level, and he only manifests the moment that you actually view him.
No.
If you're
That's
He's
wrong.
literally everywhere in a superposition at the same time, but only when you observe him does he become there solidly.
No, it's the opposite.
so he's
You
like
can't see
an
him.
intangible object.
You don't get to see Santa on Christmas Eve, and the Santas that are basically just pretending to be Santa, you get to see outside of Christmas Day, but you never get to see the real Santa. That's not possible.
Yeah, because he only
Why not?
operates that one night. Technically, right?
Yeah. I had to tell my kid about the workers. I was like, because we were leaving and everyone's saying, look, everybody loves Santa. Santa's wonderful. I was like, well, talk to Santa's ex-wife. You'll get a different story.
Ex-wife? Did he
Yeah.
ever remarry?
It was a very, very messy divorce.
Oh shit.
Very
She wanted
mischievous,
half-
very mischievous guy. Yeah.
She wanted half the toys.
Santa can keep the reindeer and the sleigh.
Yeah,
She
you've
took all
got
the
it.
toys.
Had a big row about who
She
gets
wanted half of his
Rudolph.
income for the rest of his life.
Well,
as
how
well.
about the elves? Come on.
What about
She's
him?
probably run away with half the elves.
That was the problem. That's why they got divorced.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live. There's also a PayPal and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on social media. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Chocolate Sane, Arwin, Jose and Sleeping Warrior. Good to have you all.
Yo,
Good
yo.
afternoon.
Boom.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Any signs of Santa Claus? I mean curvature?
Yeah.
Oh, there are more signs of Santa Claus than of curvature, that's for sure.
True.
Well, did we have any conversation about Conspiracy Cats' claim? Was there? I missed obviously the first show, but did anybody talk about Conspiracy Cats? Because we've had a bit of a development.
There was no
we
first
completely
show.
solved it all on the first show. All been done and dusted. No need to worry about it anymore.
Was there a first show, or is this the first show?
This is the first show.
There's just been a very long pre-show.
Oh, right, okay.
Hey,
right, okay.
hey,
In
Riley.
that case, then, right, there is
Riley.
a development on the Conspiracy Cats front.
Okie dokie.
So-
Let's have it.
All right. See, the best thing is now, because Conspiracy Cats has laid all these traps, right? In other words, he's not provided the evidence, and then when we ask him for proof, he calls them traps. I call them unsubstantiated claims. He calls them traps. Either way, he hasn't produced the evidence, right? But it means that we can basically write him out of the equation now because he won't reveal the information. So it becomes just a moot point, and it doesn't really. It's not you can't really prove it either way without them being able to. It's like Miles Davis doesn't produce his evidence of where he was and what he was doing. It's all very well and good claiming that this mountain and that bridge and all that, but at the end of the day, no one can prove where he was because he doesn't prove it. He shows it in his video to some degree, but you have to prove your claim, and that's really what Conspiracy Cats hasn't done. And when you ask him to explain this, he calls it traps and then says that I fell into traps, and I'm like, really? But the amount of people that are using that phrase now is unbelievable. They all think that I've fallen into some kind of trap. But anyway, it doesn't matter. So if I screen share now, am I screen sharing? No. So screen share. So the other day I had a really amiable conversation with Slice Barkane. I spent an hour and 40 minutes with him, and we were back and forth about some aspects of his modeling and conversations to do with refraction. And basically what I'm going to show you is really great because I've had to copy this to make sure that it stays with us because I don't want it to go missing. But you know how we always say that they're always united, they're never disunited. Well, check this out. Basically, we were arguing over how much refraction Sly's model didn't have in it. And obviously there's an atmosphere, and we do see some pretty trippy things in the atmosphere, and whatever the causes are and whatever, we know that it does manipulate stuff. Things do change their position and stuff. But basically, he had to accept that there was no atmosphere in his thing. Now, when I asked him what would the effect of refraction, atmospheric refraction, be in his model, guess how much he was prepared to give me?
Well, regardless of what he was prepared to give you, there is, according to, well, the Rumpus, a standard refraction value, otherwise known as terrestrial refraction, otherwise known as 7/6R. So I would be absolutely certain, given that he's a honest globehead, that he would just apply the standard refraction as applied in their model, right?
Well, he was prepared to give me a pixel.
Sorry, is a pixel a 7/6R?
Well, if you think about how much Rumpus has got to deal with refraction on the Isle of Man outstanding project that he's got to address that's like 6 months old, Rumpus needs to address far more than a pixel, right? But Sly was prepared to give me a pixel, 1 pixel, because it was convenient to him. And basically what's happened as a result is that I basically said, well, I'm going to set Sly. If you're only going to give me a pixel, that's the opposing position to what Rumpus has got to try and address with his claim, because Rumpus claims that he can bring back something from 700 feet behind the curve of the Earth. So there's a back and forth between Rumpus and Sly. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through it. I'm not going to read it, but I'm going to just flick through it on the screen so that it can be documented that these guys are having a bit of a disagreement. And the issue that they're disagreeing over is what's going on with refraction. Now, obviously, you can see that I say 1 pixel. Rumpus is giving me 1 pixel over 100 miles. Hey, Rumpus, Sly's giving me 1 pixel over 100 miles. And basically, these two now start a back and forth. Now, the point is that these two are arguing over like mirages and refraction and all this. And they're not united on this point. There's a discrepancy between these two, and it's great. It's nice to see. But the point remains that the modeling that Sly did was done without any atmosphere whatsoever. Now, in this hangout with Sly, I presented opposing views based on our own version of what he'd done. Now, I didn't know what Sly had done, but basically this guy, the Buzz Dev, he's released a video this morning, right? And he's going to have to remaster it because he's played the music volume too high for his voice. You can't hear his voice well enough. And I've told him about it, and he's kind of like, nah, it's just look at the point that's being made. And he's right. This guy's basically modeled the whole of the area on Blender. So he's basically kind of done the same as Sly, but he's just done it in his own format.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm just going to reiterate your point. So I watched this video up to about 10 minutes, and then I got sick of it because I couldn't understand what he was saying over the top of some Bob Marley music. So I didn't get to the point because I couldn't understand what was being said. So you sent me this link, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll watch it. 10 minutes, and I was like, I can't take any more of this, sorry.
Yeah, it's a good video. I had to struggle my way through listening to what he said because obviously I was interested in what was being said. But I can conclude it just by showing the main frames. But if you really want to listen to and go through what he's done to get to this point, just from an interest point of view, that's fine. But basically, what he says is that if the Earth is flat, right, and I know this is a reification fallacy, it's in a model, it proves nothing, but nonetheless, it's modeled and it gives you a guide to what you should expect. Remember that Conspiracy Cats' original claim was that Mount Rainier should always be bigger than this Mount St. Helens because on a flat plane. He demonstrated it inside orthographic view, and obviously we laughed at it. But he's adamant. He sits there spinning his chair and doing this like patronizing, condescending tone, which I love because that's the kind of interest that it gives me. But basically, what it does is it makes us interested, and this is basically how it should appear on a flat plane with no atmosphere. And basically, Mount Rainier in the background should be about the same size as the thing in the foreground, Mount St. Helens, there or thereabouts. Then you've got to add a little bit of refraction to it. So if we, he does this really nice thing here where he renders it. Once he renders it, he gets it to the point where he can then, he toggles between the two with and without refraction. I may not be able to find it off immediately, but he toggles between the two. So this is basically what he's showing here is that this is what it should look like if the Earth were flat. Oops, let's minimize that. If the Earth were flat with refraction, so he's put in some values for refraction, and I don't know how he's modelled it. I don't understand where he's got the refractive coefficients and all that from. But the point is, it matches perfectly to what we're being seen now. What we're seeing, so this should be. So this is it without refraction. This is the animated bit. So this is you're now seeing what it should look like if the Earth were flat with refraction, atmospheric refraction at a set rate. And he should go to and from it a couple of times, and I think he flicks between the two. But basically, it matches the observation, right? But this is not what Sly showed in his model. When Sly did his model, it basically was different to this. And I don't exactly know why it's different. I'm assuming that there's one or two factors that are slightly different. But what it does is it demonstrates that on a flat plane, we should see it the way that we're told that it is. We should see it like this. The following simulation is a physically rendered flat Earth model, and he's been through it. So this is it. This is the epitome of all of his work. Now the issue is when you're watching this, he shows it in a vacuum, and then he transitions across to it. Now that's the vacuum at the beginning, and now this is it with the effects of refraction, because the light does change. We are looking through a density gradient of 3,000 meters. Now the point is, it's not the same as what Sly's is. Now, I'm not saying that Sly's done it wrong or he's done it wrong, but what I'm saying is that they should be both given the same story, because, you know, you can't get these things wrong. They've got to be both the same. Otherwise, it's clearly biased and one of them's made a mistake. And the answer is we don't know which one's which, but we do know that they're not the same. So basically, Sly and this guy's modeling skills are at odds. And it appears that, well, basically what we see in the picture is exactly what we see. So bottom line, what I'm getting at is it's just to raise a little bit of awareness to this guy's video, the Buzz Dev. So if you go and check his channel out and give him a like, because even if it's wrong, we can use it as a platform to be able to find out what the truth actually is.
Stick it in the Hangout, and I'll post it in the chat so people can go and subscribe to him.
So Rumpus and what's his face, Sly have had a back and forth because he didn't actually agree, and it's beautiful to watch. And the other thing is, it has been modelled on a flat plane with a vacuum and without a vacuum, and it matches what we see. So basically, Rumpus is claiming, Sly Sparkane's claiming it matches a ball Earth proof. This guy's claiming it's a flat Earth proof. We don't know, but really, what we should get these guys to do is do a collaboration where they work together to try and find out where the mistake is and who's got what wrong. Because we should be able to prove these things, right? They should be consistent, but for some reason they're not consistent. So shout out to the guy that's done the modelling on the flat Earth model. It's appreciated. It's a lot more pictorial and pretty than Sly's. But the question is whether or not who's wrong, which one's wrong, because it looks like it actually is absolutely a flat Earth proof. But let's see if we can get a response from Sly and find out if we can get these guys to collaborate, because it does need to have closure. We do need to know what actually is the difference between the two models.
Good stuff. Any signs of axial rotation?
No.
The evidence that you can have a gas pressure without a container for all the people who believe in space?
No.
No.
The scientific evidence of gravity?
Hey, Arwin.
You, Arwin.
I'm going to have a back and forth with Arwin.
Not just aimed at Arwin.
I'm going to have a back and forth with Arwin on this, because I had a disagreement with somebody on our side last night in a private hangout, in a private group on Facebook, to the extent that one of us had to rage quit. It wasn't me. I'm not going to say who it was. It doesn't matter who. The point was to do with this point that Arwin says about this order. And I realised where this person's perspective has come from, and I realised where the error is. But I also realised I think it's the same point with Arwin. So what I'd like to do, if he's here, is just chat to Arwin about this ordering, and then maybe we can get a point where we can possibly agree, at least to disagree, if not anything else. But if we can sort this out in terms of this ordering, it would be pretty good. Are you there, Arwin?
Yeah, I'm here.
It's unusual for Arwin not to be sat on the mic.
Riley, while we have a minute before Arvin comes back, right? I want to do my good deed as a flat earther and put out a call to help for. Now, there's a baller in the chat who goes by the name of Nick, and I believe you call him Nick with no L.
Hey, Fish.
Yeah,
right?
Chocolate,
Hello. Can you hear me?
Dead
Yeah,
quiet.
we hear you. For those
Can
in
you
the
hear
chat
me?
that, sorry to interrupt. For those in the chat that can't join, just refresh your page, then try again. The link is working. Otherwise, Fish wouldn't have joined.
Nathan, can you turn Chocolate up a little bit?
Yeah. Go ahead,
Can you
John.
hear me better?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so there's a baller in the chat who
Hi,
calls
Daniel.
himself Nick.
Yeah, Nick with Noel.
Hey, Nathan.
Nick with no L, right? So, I mean, this for a long time now. And every time somebody tells him to come on the panel to present what he's got, he says that you have him blocked. So I'm wondering, is there any way we can unblock him so that he can come on the panel? And he can...
But the downside is if I unblock him, I then have to see his drivel in chat, and I don't want to see his drivel in chat. So
well,
here's the deal.
just let him come on one time and then...
Yeah, here's the deal. I will unblock him if Nick with Noel states that he's going to join the panel right now, and then at the end of it, I can remove his text. I can put him back on the block list.
I mean, I'm just trying to help him out because every time somebody tells him to come on the panel, that's his excuse. And,
all right, I will unblock Nick with Noel, but I want to hear that Nick with Noel will actually join the panel and debate. If he's not going to debate today, then I don't want to be seeing his messages in chat. So if someone can get the message to Nick with Noel that he will be unblocked so we can join, but I want to hear that he actually will join if I unblock him because I can't be bothered reading his drivel on chat.
No, I get it. I get it. Like I'm just trying to be a good guy. So Nick, I'm sure you're listening. You can
Hi,
come in.
Travis, is that you?
Hello. What
Good to have you.
Trav.
going on?
You see, Nick, you're in chat right now. You're just saying I'm
AP.
banned by Riley.
AP, can you
Okay.
hear us?
Hello.
Hello, good to have you.
Some guy joined Dell's yesterday, and he said that you can't have a Zyklon B gas chamber next to a vacuum.
Wait, I don't understand your point.
Maybe you could add that to housekeeping. Plus, the Holocaust never happened. No evidence of 6 million Jews dying. They have a
Are you Jewish, P?
Metabunk calculator. You can calculate how long it would take to kill 6 million Jews.
Right, this is not
and
flat Earth related. Not
It
interested.
doesn't
not
doesn't
flat
add up
Earth.
to the globe model.
P, not interested.
Doesn't match the globe because the Jews lied to us about
Last
the
chance,
globe.
P. I'm going to kick you out. This is not flat Earth related.
It was the Jews.
Okay, so you do want to get kicked out.
Pete, Jesus Christ.
He adds nothing to the conversation.
It's like he knows that YouTube, Google will mess with your channel with this stuff. I mean, whatever.
Hey, Zinda. You hear us?
I can hear.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
So did Nick agree to these terms or what?
Nick, are you not listening, man? Are you just in the chat, just not listening? You can come on the panel, Nick. Don't try to pretend that you're stupid now and you're not listening. You've been in this chat this whole time. Get in the panel. expressly had Riley say that he will unblock you just for you to come in here. So now you're going to sit in the chat and just play like a little keyboard warrior? Come on, man. Just come in the chat. Come in the panel.
I'm just trying to find where he is.
He's in the chat.
No, I mean to unblock him.
Yeah, you could just highlight him on the chat and do it that way. Oh no, you can't see him.
Yeah. Is it in YouTube or is it in Google? Is it in Hangouts?
Don't even bother if he's not going to answer he's still not saying he agrees, so don't worry about it.
No, he's still pretending that he's not listening, and this is not happening right now. Like, we're not addressing him.
Well,
I'm addressing him purposely.
Yeah.
I found 240 quid in my ass pocket, and most of it's the old tenors.
Sorry, just a question for Beyond Belief in chat. Do you mean that there's a Beyond Belief sock account? Beyond Belief. Is that what you're saying?
Okay. Offer rescinded. The guy's just hammering away, so forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a reason he's on the block list, and it's because he doesn't do anything other than troll.
Well, I mean,
actually, I'm going to block him myself.
Just for the next time he wants to talk shit, you know, I want to say that I tried to get you on this panel, and you just sat in the chat like a little keyboard warrior. So you go ahead with that, brother.
I suggest everybody blocks him.
Yeah, the guy's a moron.
Oh, well, anyway, moving on. Thank you, Riley.
Is our win back?
Hello.
Oh, you don't sound like Arwin. Hello, fish.
Come on, yes. So I'm trying
to break. Hello, fish.
I'm trying to work this out. It's a little bit of a delay. So I have this 19-mile observation I'd love to share if you guys would like to see it.
Sure.
It's kind of in the area. It's kind of a coincidence. It's in the area of Oregon, which is by Mount Rainier and Mount St. Helens. It has nothing to do with that one specifically, but it is in that area. I've got a short 4-minute video, or I can just kind of run through the stills and stuff.
Oregon, isn't that where Short Circuit, Stephanie from Short Circuit lived? Oregon.
Anyway,
Stephanie.
Yes, if you wanna pop your video up, you won't have sound, but just play it and talk us through it. So it's just on in the background. If it's only 4 minutes, presumably you can give us a concise explanation in that period, right?
Yeah. Now I've got 3 screens, so I'm not sure which one's going to show up. So let's see what happens.
Just let me know when you're happy with whatever you're sharing, and I'll stick you on.
Oh, it's great. It gives me an option. Okay.
So just so we're prepared, is this claiming it's a ball proof, claiming it's a flat earth proof, not claiming anything?
Well, it doesn't seem to mesh with the heliocentric model.
Okay. So it's a not conforming with the ball evidence.
Correct.
Bit the opposite of conspiracy cats, right?
Yeah.
Okie doke. Right,
all right. Can you guys see it?
We can. Yes.
Okay. All right. Excellent. All right. So it says P900 observation. That's what you're seeing?
Yeah. Oregon Coast, Astoria to
yeah. All right. There's only one picture that's not mine, so I'm just going to go past that one.
You make it full screen.
All right. Let's
Perfect.
go past that one.
Then just click hide on the little tab at the bottom.
Hide. Oh, gotcha.
That's it. Brilliant. Thank you.
All right. So this right here, these are called, I learned this from some local website, 3-finger jack rock formation. Those are the coordinates underneath. And if you punch those in, it'll put you right about the large rock, the main one, which is, according to Google Earth, just by using the elevation tools, is about 85 feet. And I kind of round up a couple feet. So the one next to it is about 48 feet, which is right there. And I am approximately a little over 19 miles away at this jetty by Astoria.
19 miles.
Yeah.
Right, so that's a prevalent figure, because if you think back to Soundly's Pontchartrain stuff, all of this stuff was 16 to 17 miles. So this
which cracks me
show
up.
more curvature than what Soundly shows, right?
Yeah, yeah. So here, and I'm kind of doing this as well because you know the trolls, and so arguing with people, you get tired of doing that. I was there, seeing people trying to tell you that something is not what it is when you're there. Is kind of hilarious.
Hold on a second. How can this be possible? How can these posts, which are about 6 or 8 feet high, be bigger than that mountain in the background? How is that even possible on a flat
First
plane?
of all, that is a great estimate, because I think some people think these are 10 to 20 feet, and they're not. So that's already a good start.
Are they just a bit taller than you?
Yeah. Yeah. And let's see. So if I pull something onto the screen, does it show that now?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, excellent. So this is Google Earth. Spent a lot of time this last year going over these observations. That's why all these points are marked. I've walked up and down this beach. There's 17 miles to the object, 18 miles, 18 and a half. So anything past this area is 19 miles. And that shot that you see right there is back here, behind the jetty.
Gotcha.
Which is here. Now to show you what that looks like.
What? That is the most bizarre. Is that a jetty? That?
Yeah, it's a jetty that goes out quite a ways, and it kind of separates the Columbia River and the ocean. And these are those poles now. You can kind of see a better view of those. They're not very tall. There's the ground right there, and we're just on the other side of that. So they're not 20 feet tall by any means. And now, which I thought actually to me is probably the most devastating, but at 19 miles, this is almost what I could see with my eye. And I know it's hard to see, not zoomed in, but I could see that rock with my eye.
I think
right there.
Anyway.
And I pulled out my cell phone and took this snap. And this is over 19 miles. So I don't know if you guys can see that. Now I know Rumpus would say that's just a smudge, but
no, Alan B would call it a smudge.
Okay, it's Alan. Yeah. So that's what it was. And that's what we could see with our eyes, which I thought was crazy alone. So after I saw that, we took.
Hey, can I jump in real quick?
Sure.
So what I'm thinking about, because I was in Ventura early September, I think, and so I was shooting the Anacapa Island, Channel Islands, and so I guess what I'm thinking is, if you're telling me that rock that you've got there in the distance is only 85 feet high,
mm-hmm.
So what's interesting is that just shows you how clear your air is,
mm-hmm.
because I've got different shots of oil rigs and boats that are obscured at a closer distance.
Yeah,
so
it was a clear day.
Yeah, I'm just amazed at what that shows in terms of, because let's just say, for instance, if that 85-foot rock was in front of me at the Channel Islands, I wouldn't have been able to see it because of the air quality.
Yeah, and the the temperature, I have everything down in the video, the description, the temperature of that day, the water temp and the atmosphere. And seems like it was low 50s. It was in the low 50s, and it was definitely clear. So I did this in the spring, the summer, and the fall, different times. I can tell you there was a few times I went down there and I'm like, I couldn't see much because of the cloud cover. Those cliffs right there, they suck in the clouds like a magnet. It can be beautiful all the way up to that point, and a roll of clouds will just follow those cliffs all day long. And I've sat on that jetty waiting all day for it to clear, and it wouldn't. Then I get back home and I look and I put stuff under the filter and I started seeing things still. And this is why I kept going back. So I would see more. And I was shocked. And because I couldn't see things originally, I wasn't really investigating how far can I go and see it. I was just trying to sit from the beach, get as low as I could, and shoot as far as I could. So
hey, fish.
Yeah.
So go to the left right there. Hold on, don't go away. So yeah, how
check
high is
this out.
that?
So this spot here, from what I could tell from Google Earth, there's another little rock back here that is about the same height as this one, and this starts reaching the 20-mile plus mark, and I can show you that. And so once again, those original. Oh, the cliff, like how tall is that bottom part?
Yeah.
I actually have not looked at that.
I've got to be honest. I don't think it matters, Travis, because you've got something so good in the form of these little rocks. You know.
So check this out.
I'm just curious. I understand.
Yeah. So this is your rock here. So this is one of the cliffs you see come off. There's our object, the 85 and the 48, and then this rock back here. I'm wondering if that is what I'm getting in there as well.
Can we see the picture again?
Yeah.
All you'd have to do is move up the coast a little bit to get a different angle.
Well, and that's the thing. Like I said, I didn't think I had anything. I was so frustrated. I was shooting because the clouds were so bad. And so I didn't even try to change my angle. And so I was wondering, well, where's that second rock? It's because I'm so far back in the corner. The second rock is behind the big one. And that's why you can't see it. Because it's kind of like this weird angle.
No offense, Fish, but I appreciate it's always good to say, oh well, it would have been nice to have this, that, and the other, but you've actually got what you need already, right? You don't.
I believe so too. Yeah.
You don't need.
I mean, to be
more.
honest with you, before I even pulled out the P900, when I looked back and I saw this, and I could see it with my own eyes from the beach at 19 miles plus. Remember that this is anything past. Whoops, sorry. Anything past this mark is 19 miles. And this is where this is where I was living the whole time, was in this area. I was trying to get as low as I could, sea level or lower. And obviously when you start getting below sea level, you're shooting up over the waves and it causes a lot of distortion and blocking. But this whole area is where I was trying to get from. And when I got to this area right here and turned around and saw the rocks with my eyes.
So if we beg the question on the begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking, whatever it is, what is it that how much of this are we not meant to see?
170 feet.
I mean, yeah,
170 feet.
Yeah, I go by the standard refraction. I go by their BS standard refraction just to see, and it still would be over 100 feet.
Yeah, so that request of or that acceptance by Slice Barcane of a pixel, it's going to need more than a pixel, isn't it?
Yeah, and I could show you. Let's see.
Do you know what you should do? Are you able to go back to that place regularly?
Yeah, yeah.
You should get a montage. Just get like a still over like 4, 5, 6, 7 days, and just show the 4, 5, 6, 7 day stills. And obviously, with it being winter now, we were all challenged. Well, go back and get it in winter when the refraction's different, because basically their argument was, well, in summer you've got all the air that's a lot warmer than the water, and that water's cold, which it is, but the air above it's warm, so therefore you've got perfect conditions for magic refraction. So they said, well, go back in winter and do it. And then when you go back in winter and do it, and you still see the same thing, it's like, this is a bit of an issue, guys.
Well, winter actually, I think the colder the air, the less refraction you're dealing with.
Right, exactly.
That's why it's nonsense.
And let's see if I can pull. So I would try and get as low as I could. I've had people say you're not as low as you're saying you are. I took an app with my phone, an altimeter, and it shows your exact coordinates. And I was actually getting a pretty good connection out there. So I just wanted to show how low I could get in some instances. Let's see. Let me show you another one of the money shots. I guess it would be.
Well, just to piggyback on what Anthony was just saying, if you remember when I came on and showed the oil rig in the same position over 3 hours, period, the very early shot, all you could see was the very top of the oil rig and the rest was obscured. And if I simply showed that image to a baller, he would say, well, you can't see the rest of the oil rig because of the curve. But an hour later, in the same spot, I saw the entire oil rig. So what, the curve just ducked out of sight?
Yeah, crickets.
Right. The curve always seems to be right after the object that you're shooting. It always seems that's when it starts. It starts after the 16 miles. It starts on the soccer field. When I shot the perspective, it starts, you know, what was the curve starting after 50 feet.
Oh, that was you.
It's pretty hilarious.
Oh, that was you. That was awesome.
I shot, well, what I did was let's see, I don't know, did you guys, I think Nathan, actually, you might have seen that one. You think you shared it with, on Facebook or something. Let's see. So I've got this shot here.
Yep.
I went to, and I shot both directions. I did the focal point on the grass, then I did the focal point on the objects, just to see if I could see any
Before
difference.
you go anywhere, just click share.
Oh, is it not sharing?
Yeah, no, just click share, just so you can actually share it in the Hangout, and I'll stick it for the audience to subscribe to you. So if you just click share and then click copy on the right, just
oh, I see.
Yeah, and then you just say copy.
You do realise that that what they do is they claim that the
Anthony,
grass is curvy.
Just 1 second, Anthony. If you can just go back to the Hangout and then just go to the move your mouse over the Hangout and then top left, go to the chat and then post it, and I'll stick it in the chat for the audience to go and subscribe to you.
All right, I'm not. I don't know if that worked. Sorry, I could do that. I could definitely do that.
Top right.
I don't want to lose you guys here. But so these here are. It's a soccer field. There's absolutely no holes, no deep holes, no ridiculous drop offs. It's by the Nike campus out in Oregon, and these fields are probably some of the nicest fields in the entire state. This whole place is amazing. They actually have turf fields that people can just come and use. When we went out to this field, because I was able to get the line of sight, the eye, right, the center of the focal point, the camera, to match up with the surface. So it was kind of nice, and it was easy to get this perspective thing. And the reason why I'm going back here is because it worked well. I mean, it shows the boy's legs going under the line. I did it with a cell phone. I did it with the P900. And the same.
Did you get different results on the cell phone and the P900?
No. I mean, well, here, I'll show you. So this is you're going to get different, a zoom. I think this is the cell phone. Sorry. Yeah, here we go. And in fact, I don't even think the cell phone was low enough, really. So you still had somewhat of an angle.
I find it interesting they kept the field so level. You'd think that they would have a runoff.
Well, it's elevated. It's elevated about, I don't know, maybe a foot or two. So I think the water, it's pretty level, but the water still runs down. And they didn't even go into the goalie boxes, because obviously, right, where's the goalie? Where's all the action? It's usually we're in the goalie box. And so I didn't want people to think that was an excuse. So we went to the front of the box, not even to the goalie area, on both sides. So my camera is before the goalie box, and they stop and put their hands up when they get to the line that's inside the goalie box as well. But I mean, you could just see, this is with the cell phone. It's still happening. The farther they go, it's going to continue.
Just make it full screen again, just so people can see it, because it's just that little bit small.
And then, and while they were walking, I was shooting. I was taking shots with the P900 as well. Let's see. And then, of course, I have a little introduction on how perspective works, because people still don't seem to get it. It blows my mind. And of course, I went to the track, and obviously, you know why. That's the biggest thing everybody talks about, is you go to the track, or why doesn't it work on a bowling alley? Well, it does work if you get the lens, the center of the camera, level with your surface, your line of sight, right? It would still work on a bowling alley or a track. You would just have to go a farther distance. Let's see. So I guess. Oh, and then I was going to show real quick the water. People think that, this is what's going on. This was that clear day. This is a beautiful day, hardly any wind. And look at the waves. Look what's rolling. If they're going to claim that grass or leaves or a little bit of curve on the ground is going to block or obscure what you see, then look at what's going on with the water. I mean, I should have got down to probably water level here, but obviously...
Look at that lovely curve on the horizon there.
This is what's blocking, the bottoms.
Anthony, you're not up high enough. Come on, man.
Oh, what happened to the boat when the wave came? Surely that
Yeah,
wave's not bigger than
No,
the boat,
they
right?
drowned. No.
Surely
Yeah,
the wave
exactly.
is not
It
as
sank.
big as the boat.
Yeah, it knocked the boat over.
Help them.
Look, here we go.
Yeah.
Something in the near foreground, obscuring something in the
Yeah.
background, even though it's smaller. Amazing. Perspective. It's real.
You see that boat that you've got on screen right now?
Mm-hmm.
I want to show you when you finish making your point is something else contradictory to that, because I think what I'm going to demonstrate is the opposing view, not that it's curve, but that it's actually bending of light. So when you finish making your point, let me know and I'll come back to it, because or at least come back to that ship before you finish and wrap up.
Yeah, that's all I had for this one. I was just kind of shooting at the end of the day, and I thought, wow, look at these waves. This is a good example of what's going on, even especially on the ocean, even on a clear day. And we have barges and ships going in and out constantly because it's an inlet. There's a little port, Astoria there, and they head down the river and take stuff all the way to Portland. So, obviously there's a lot of waves going on, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
Just get that boat on screen for me and keep it in the middle. And just keep that on screen for a sec, Nathan, whilst I find the video that I want.
Oh,
Right.
I guess I didn't go far.
Yeah, Fish, this is some good observations, man. It's good work.
Thank
here,
you.
brother.
I kind of just went out to do it for myself to see what's going on. I've been arguing. So honestly, about 4 years now, I've been watching this stuff. I've been watching Paul and, some of the first shots that he was going out and doing.
Where are you at again? Where is this?
Oregon, Portland, Oregon area.
Okay,
Right, so
okay.
guys, look at this. Look at the structure. You've got the bridge of the ship at the back, and then 2 H's, and then it looks like a mast at the front with a light on it. Nathan, if you put my screen on, please.
Yeah, no worries. Shout out to Retro Bill for the super chat. Thank you very much.
Now, can you see my screen, dude? Fish.
Let me see.
Click on
So do I
Sleeping
just
Warrior.
close this out, or what do I do here? Let me see.
Just click on Sleeping Warrior's icon in the Hangout.
Oh, where are you? There you are. Oh, gotcha. Okay.
All right, so this is an example where I've got the same boat. It's got the bridge at the back, and it's got 2 H's. Look where I am now. I'm not as high as as low as what you were, but I didn't know what this was at the time because I thought it was some kind of structure. I was told later on that it's a ship, and it's the same kind of ship that you've got. So they obviously move heavy things with it, and they're cranes. Maybe not, who cares? But the point is, it's the same kind of ship. But I didn't know this at the time. I thought it was a structure. Now, if you notice what's happening there, it looks like it's gone behind the curve of the Earth. Now, on this particular day, it was really, really cold. It's a really cold day. So in theory, it should have less refraction. But I've never seen this boat do this before. Now, there's a little boat in the foreground. Ignore that boat. It's the ship in the background. So all the ballers are obviously going to shout, hey, Riley's proved curve of the Earth. But what I think is actually happening on this day is, I think what's happening, it's really cold, but I think the light's bending up. So the lower part of the boat isn't actually getting a light ray going back to my eye. They will say it's the curve of the Earth, but it was evidence that I found that didn't support the flat Earth position, so I released it because I think it's worth discussing. But I noticed that your boat was on the horizon, and my boat's clearly looking like it's gone over the horizon and behind the curve. But what was interesting on this particular day was it was really cold. So basically, I don't know what to interpret this as, because they would say curve, I would say it's light refracting up. But what do you think of that?
Right, and how far away do you think those are?
It's difficult to tell. I don't know. I didn't get the details of it afterwards because I didn't know it was a boat.
Yeah, I think mine's maybe a mile. I don't think it's too far. That's why it seems so clear. But yeah, and of course, natural for me, I'm thinking, the hot air is going to cause the light to refract up.
Well, it was a cold day, though. That's the interesting thing on this one. It was a really cold, bitterly cold, but fantastic visibility.
You think the air was colder than the water, Anthony?
I would say there were. Yeah, it might have been actually. It was really cold. So this guy's saying this is proof that the Earth's curved, and he's got the same point. He's making the same point. And I guess what I'm saying is that I have got evidence that didn't support our narrative, and I can't necessarily explain it. But you've got the same ship on the horizon. I've got the same ship behind the horizon, and it does look like it's curved. But I also accept that this could well be refraction going the opposite way because it was so cold that day. I'm not saying it is.
Absolutely, and so with perspective and distance, that is how important perspective is. Anything that is in between you and the object you're shooting has got a chance to block it, especially the bottom. That's the first thing that's going to go. And, you know, like with the 20-mile observation, obviously the rocks are, you know, the bottoms are covered, but you shouldn't see any of it. Let's see, I think, did I show the whole? So this was where I took the cell phone picture, where I could see it with my eye, and shot this. And this is about 19.2, 19.3 miles. So obviously, so right here, that part of the cliff, I think Travis was talking about here, right? Look at it. It's almost, you can't really see that. But now if we go back to, sorry here, Google. And we come out to the cliff here. Can't quite, oops, sorry. There we go, it's a little bit of a delay. Sorry. And then we go down. So you can see that it almost looks like it's a little bit higher. I guess it depends on where we're looking at here. But if you match that up with what we're seeing, I don't know, maybe not. Maybe that is the higher spot. I don't know. I was just shocked. To be honest, when I saw this with my eyes, to me, that did it right there. I don't know how else you could explain that. And then to look back at where we started, I'm obviously not 20 feet in the air. I'm not 30 feet. And in this area, at this distance, you can be up to 20 feet and you still shouldn't be seeing this. You could be up to 30 feet and you still shouldn't be seeing it. At 19.58 miles, you shouldn't be seeing anything. And we went farther down the jetty. And let's see if I have one of those for you. Sorry, I thought I had this a little more organized. Actually, maybe we could just do this. Go here. And this was the final shot. So I just showed, this is how far I was. And I was actually, to be honest, I put all the numbers in the favor of the heliocentric. I was probably at 19.64 on this last video that I shoot here. But I think what confused people is I put 30 feet, so they thought I was at 30 feet. But I wasn't. I was just showing if you were at 30 feet from this distance, you still should not be able to see that large rock. Okay. And we see the second one that's at 48 feet. And then, so this was the final video here.
You were at least 100 foot and like 5 miles away.
Make it, and look, you can even see this little thing going on over here.
Just make it full screen, Fish.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, there we go.
When we're all done with this, I just was looking through some of my footage. I've got something interesting to show if you guys are interested.
Definitely.
Yeah, and so here we go. There we go. Whoops, not quite. And there's this little thing here too. So, you know, the more and more I would take the photos back and start looking into them and putting them on filters, and I was finding I was seeing more. And this, I'm trying to figure out this back area. I'm thinking that this area is just great because there's a lot of landmarks that have elevations, and they're key rocks. You know, Oregon, they like their rocks. So they all have names, they all have specific elevations, and I should be able to see stuff behind here even. The jetty doesn't even go higher than 23 to 26 feet anywhere on that jetty. I measured it with the tape measure. So to get up to 30 feet or higher, I would have to have a cherry picker of some sorts. So that's what makes it great. And I guess I could show you that and finish up here. The last thing I was going to show you was, well, shots of, you know, where I was on the rocks and different spots. I mean, you can get as low as you can, and that may even look higher than it is because I'm farther away from the water. But if you drop a tape measure straight down, you know, I'm not more than 10 feet above the sea level.
Just put a bag on your camera and get down in the water next time, please.
Yeah, I did get wet. I did get wet. And the way it is, you know, it's pretty. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's. I mean, I got down there as low as I could, and I mean, I don't know how high up does that look to you?
You can't tell. You know, if you've measured it, I'd take that, but you can't guesstimate. I mean, if it's 5 feet, it could be. If it's 20 feet, it could be.
Think so?
Yeah, you can't tell from the video.
It's
you just can't.
It's tough. So the jetty, I think I was just going to show you the jetty real quick. It's pretty. Well, let's do this. It's a neat spot because it just goes out farther and farther. I thought about reversing it if I could shoot the jetty because it's only 23 feet high, right? If I could see the jetty from the other side, that'd be pretty amazing. So all these spots are different spots I've taken video and pictures. There's a neat little parking lot. You just pull out. Everybody comes over here and views stuff. There's a platform, a viewing platform that's about, I measured it about 20 feet from the sand level, but I gave it another 10 feet. So about 30 feet, even from that viewer platform. And people come out here all the time, and I bet they don't have a clue of what they should or should not be able to see, even at this distance from this little viewer platform. And if we went to 35 feet, you know, on that, it's somewhere right in there between 30 and 35 feet high over the, you know, just above the jetty. But anywhere along this whole jetty are great spots to see it, and it never goes above 30 feet. Then there you go.
Absolutely awesome Fish Matrix. I've stuck your channel link in the public chat so people can go subscribe to you. Hopefully they will.
Yeah, and that's the other thing.
Thank you, Fish.
Yeah, I'm not a YouTube content provider necessarily until just recently, but I've been doing this thing for 4 years, and I kind of wanted to find out for myself finally. So my girlfriend and I saved up some money, got the camera, and we've just been shooting stuff, you know, all the time, nonstop. There's a lighthouse video that's going to come out next. Right next to those rocks is a lighthouse. But it's 133 feet, so it's actually not as impressive. And I saw the other rocks accidentally when I was trying to shoot the lighthouse, and I thought, holy crap, what are those? And so I investigated those and found out, you know, they're even shorter. So it kind of takes the steam out of the lighthouse. But I'm going to do it for fun once I get, you know, more shots of it. And
yeah, we don't need any more lighthouses.
Yeah, there's plenty of lighthouses. And to be honest, I mean, the lighthouse, it says it's you know, its visibility is 20 miles. If people aren't understanding that right off the bat, how are you going to see a light shooting 20 miles in the middle of the ocean? You know,
yeah.
Well, pretty.
How far is the lighthouse?
The lighthouse is from the jetty. It's 20 miles, so it's a little bit farther, but it's also a good mile and a quarter out into the ocean. So you're getting a lot more wave action, and it can be harder to see at times.
So we got the Mackle Lighthouse on the Isle of Man observations that went from debate 76 onwards for about 30 debates. And that was 31 miles away. And we can see it from, well, basically we can see it pretty much from the beach. And it's got a focal height of 212 feet, I think it was. And it's basically, there's no way you should see it on a sphere. And they just won't accept it. They just say that, oh, it's refraction. And it's like, refraction doesn't bend around a curve, though. Even if it is refraction, it's not bending around a curve. You've still got to show curvature for it to be refracting around it. And if it was the case that you could have like light that bent round corners, then you wouldn't get shadows the way that we get them. But you know what they're like? They just deny everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Ranty, on some of his first shots that I saw, he had rocks that were, you know, didn't look very large at all. And he was seeing those from across the water. And everybody's talking about the buildings, and I'm thinking, geez, those rocks are not even close to the size of the building, and you can basically see them on the beach. I mean, to me, you know, that destroys it. Obviously, though, a landmark is easier to find and look up and is, you know, sexier than some rocks sitting on the beach. But yeah, I mean, I think he was proving it, not even realizing maybe he had plenty of evidence already. But they're going to always claim the bottom of things because that they have to. I don't think there's, how else can you explain it? They have no other option. Once you let go of that, that's the whole house of cards falls down.
So I don't want to forget Travis. Thank you very much, Fish. Was there anything else you wanted to add on to the end of that? If not,
I guess this last little fun part here. When I first was opening up the camera, can you still see my screen?
Yeah.
So this is, I'm out. It's a beautiful day. My girlfriend are out having a drink, a Greyhound. This little straw here is a short drinking straw. It is not the size of the telephone pole. I just thought this was interesting. This captured perspective kind of quite easily. This is an umbrella. I can put my hand around the umbrella, right, and pull it out to block the sunshine. This telephone pole or power pole is not thicker. It is thicker than the umbrella. I can't put my hand around that. But because they're just 100 feet difference, you can see how perspective works right here.
Yeah.
If they cannot understand this, I don't know any other way. I mean, it's a little straw. That is a telephone pole.
It's not misunderstanding. It's what their religion dictates. So they've taken the effect of perspective and called it curvature. But in order for them to actually misrepresent what the flat Earth should be, because the Earth is flat and we do have perspective, but they have to misrepresent what we, quote unquote, should see on a flat Earth. And the way they do it is they take it into a side elevation and keep and they maintain the actual sizes of things. So in their picture, side on, this straw would be tiny on the right-hand side of the page next to the observer, and the telegraph pole would be absolutely massive on the left-hand side, miles away from the observer. When in reality, the telegraph pole and the straw, in the actual view of the observer, are almost the same size. Relative size, not actual size. We see in a perspective view.
What was the name of that Australian guy? I think it was an Australian guy. He came in and he says, how tall's a 10-foot wall? And he obviously wanted us to say 10 foot. And my reaction was, well, it depends on how far away it is.
Joshua.
Joshua. Yeah, he came in and he said, how tall is a 10-foot wall? And the answer is, depends on how close to you it is. Now, he wanted us to say it was always 10 foot, but it's not always 10 foot because it has an apparent size change with distance, and they just ignore it.
Yeah, no, they absolutely. They flip things sideways and say that the line, I draw a line 20 miles away, these two spots, I should be able to see that if it was flat. That's what they say. And they do not take perspective into account at all. I don't know how they live. I don't know if it's because these are people who live on the computer, live in movies all the time and don't get out. I don't know how you can't understand that you can't draw a straight line across the water and it's going to hit the same place. I don't understand that, but that's it. I guess I have Travis. I don't want to take all the time, so go ahead, guys.
All right, well, thank you. That was great. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too.
Excellent. Thanks, guys.
More flat earther now than it was before.
Can I just ask you a couple of questions, Fish?
Sure.
How did you find out about the show?
Well, so it's so funny because I listen to your guys' stories. Everybody that is into flat Earth right now, all the Mark Sargent and Jaron, everybody. And, I kind of got there the same way. Karen, I loved one of her first videos I ever saw was, I felt absolutely that's how it was for me. You look into things, you start, to me, JFK was a conspiracy, right? And what do we know now? There's no way that there was that one guy who did all that. Okay. So I'm open-minded. I know that there's been lies. I know that conspiracies do happen. So I'm always interested in open-minded and checking things out, but started down this road the same way as you guys. No way. This is hilarious. This has got to be a joke. And started looking at the numbers and just and investigating. And, if anytime you can't ask a question or someone doesn't want you to ask a question or they ridicule you for asking a question, to me, that's a red flag. Because you should be able to, and it should be easy to disprove and move on. And
how do you find this show? How do you find this show?
through everybody, through listening, somebody's like, "Oh, did you hear on Nathan Oakley?" So I checked it out, and it wasn't necessarily my cup of tea in the beginning, but after you start doing this a long time and you take the heat that you do from people, then you start appreciating Nathan's stance, I think, and no bull, not taking any bull crap. I think it's important because that's what they do. They will try and lead you off in all these directions, but you've got to stay focused on the point. I think we keep making these observations. 8 inch per mile squared is showing us, right? It's showing us that something's not right. And I don't know how else you can more evidence that you can prove than this. I really don't know. I think it's the important part, because if this evidence keeps stacking up, they have to look at it. I like the doctor. I think the PhD, the Dr. John, is it right now, who's got that video, and he's calling Metabunk, Mick West. Has there been a response yet? Has Mick responded?
Yeah, he's stolen. These guys discuss the response to Mick West. I will say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you hated the show, then smash the dislike button, but then smash it again. But if you liked it, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!